what happens when, cutting-edge immersive tech, the stuff we usually associate with gaming or maybe high-end corporate training, meets one of the most essential but often toughest public service jobs out there?
It's a fascinating question.
It really is. Today, we're diving into a pretty groundbreaking partnership happening in India. It's all about using extended reality, or XR, to completely rethink occupational training for sanitation workers. It's this powerful mix of tech innovation and social justice.
That's a great way to put it.
And our sources for this deep dive, they're mainly excerpts from a press release about this whole initiative. Really lays out the vision and, crucially, the mechanics of how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, it gives us a good look under the hood.
Exactly. So our mission today is to really unpack how this collaboration aims to transform the skills, the safety, and importantly, the dignity of over 1 million workers, and what that signals for inclusive innovation, maybe not just in India, but, well, everywhere. Okay, let's get into it.
All right. So I think to really get this, we have to start with the workers themselves. Sanitation workers in India, they're described as the very backbone of the public health system.
Absolutely essential.
Totally. Their work is critical for everyone's health. But, and this is the key contrast, for ages, they've faced really challenging, often hazardous work environments.
Right.
And on top of that, often very limited access to sort of advanced training or real career development paths. Understanding that gap, that disparity, is it's fundamental to seeing why this program is such a big deal.
That's a really stark picture. Vital work, but historically undervalued, undersupported, especially when it comes to safety and just, growing professionally.
Precisely.
So how are they finally tackling these long-standing problems? This is where, like you said, it gets really interesting.
Yeah, this is the exciting part. It's not just one organization deciding to do something. It's a really bold strategic team-up. 3 main partners bringing different things to the table.
Yeah.
First, you've got the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment's NSKFDC. That's the National Safai Karam-Karissa Finance and Development Corporation. Bit of mouthful, but basically they're the main government body focused on the socioeconomic upliftment of sanitation workers and their families nationwide. They really know the community's needs.
Got it. Government backing and understanding. Who else?
Then, bringing the tech muscle, is EON Reality. They're positioned as the global leaders in AI-assisted VR and AR. That's the XR we're talking about for knowledge transfer. They developed the EON-XR platform. That's kind of the engine here.
The tech provider. Makes sense.
And the third piece of the puzzle is Ozasia Solutions Private Limited. They're an educational technology partner. Their specialty is getting this kind of thing distributed and actually implemented across India, making sure the tech reaches the people who need it.
The crucial last-mile partner, basically.
Exactly. Distribution and implementation.
So, government vision, cutting-edge tech, and that on-the-ground know-how. Sounds like a pretty potent mix. But what about the scale? Is this a small pilot, or are they thinking bigger?
Oh, much, much bigger. This is definitely not a pilot project.
Yeah.
The scale is, frankly, one of the most remarkable things about it.
Okay.
This whole collaboration is set up to reshape training for, get this, over 1.5 million sanitation workers across India.
1.5 million.
Million, yeah. That number alone tells you the sheer ambition and the potential impact we're talking about. It's a huge undertaking.
Wow. Okay. 1.5 million workers. That's staggering. So let's get into the how then. You mentioned the EON-XR platform. Can you maybe paint a picture for us? What does this tech actually let workers do that they couldn't before or couldn't do safely?
Sure. So the EON-XR platform is all about immersion and practicality. Imagine a worker needing to learn how to safely handle, say, complex machinery down in a sewer line, or maybe deal with a hazardous waste spill.
Right. Stuff that's inherently risky to learn on the job.
Exactly. Traditionally, you might learn by watching, maybe reading a manual, or, learning directly on the job with all the risks involved. With EON-XR, they can step into these realistic, scenario-based training modules. It replicates the real challenges, but in a totally safe virtual space.
So they can practice without danger.
Precisely. They can make mistakes, get instant feedback, learn from them, and just repeat complex or dangerous procedures over and over until it's second nature, all with zero real-world risk.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And you mentioned AI.
Yeah, that's another key bit. The source talks about spatial AI-driven learning environments. Basically, the AI in the system watches how the worker moves and interacts in the virtual space, their decisions, their actions.
Like a virtual coach watching over your shoulder.
Kind of, yeah. It gives instant personalized feedback and can even adjust scenario based on how they're doing, makes the training super adaptive and intuitive. And it's not just about the hands-on skills. The platform also has these AI-supported career planning tools.
Now, what do those do?
They help workers see how the skills they're learning connect to potential career paths, helping them kind of visualize and plan for upward mobility in the sector.
That's genuinely transformative, moving beyond just safety to actual career growth. But India's huge, right? And incredibly diverse geographically. How do they make sure this high-tech stuff actually reaches workers everywhere? I mean, accessibility is usually the big hurdle.
Absolutely crucial point. And the platform seems designed with that in mind. The source makes a point of highlighting its universal accessibility. It's not just for fancy VR headsets, which, let's face it, aren't everywhere.
Right.
Critically, it's available on standard mobile phones and tablets.
Oh, okay. So potentially much wider reach.
Exactly. That flexibility is key for bridging those urban-rural divides. If a worker has access to a basic smartphone or a tablet, they can potentially access this training. It democratizes the opportunity, regardless of location or access to, dedicated training centers or expensive gear.
That's vital. Mobile first makes a huge difference. Okay, so accessibility is addressed. Let's talk tangible benefits. What are the big improvements this kind of XR training is supposed to deliver? What does it really mean for these workers day to day?
The benefits laid out are pretty profound and cover a few key areas. First, and maybe the most immediate impact, is significantly reduced workplace accidents.
Makes sense. Practicing in VR first.
Right. Being able to rehearse those complex, hazardous procedures virtually without risk, that's expected to dramatically cut down on real-world injuries. That alone is a massive step forward for safety in what can be a dangerous job.
Huge. Okay, what else? Second, accelerated skill development.
Yeah.
Because of that immersive practice and the instant AI feedback, the learning process is just much faster. The source suggests it can shorten training timelines by up to 4 times compared to traditional methods.
4 times faster. Wow.
Yeah, workers gain complex skills much more quickly and effectively. Think about the efficiency boost across a workforce of 1.5 million.
That's significant. Third, and this ties into what we mentioned earlier, it creates clearer pathways for career advancement. Those interactive modules and career planning tools really empower workers. They can continuously upskill, track their progress, and actively pursue better opportunities within the sector. It gives them a roadmap.
So it's about building a career, not just having a job.
Exactly. And finally, there's a benefit that's maybe less tangible but just as important: fostering professional pride and social recognition.
How does tech training do that?
Well, by providing continuous learning through advanced modern technology, it inherently treats the profession with more respect. It's dignified learning. This boosts morale for the workers, sure, but it also helps raise public awareness and appreciation for their essential work. It helps shift the perception, from just a dirty job to a vital, skilled profession.
That's a really holistic view: safety, skills, career, and dignity. It really does sound like more than just a tech project. It's, like you said, a social mission.
Right. And Dan Lejerskar, the chairman of EON Reality, the tech provider, echoed this from his perspective. He said, inclusive innovation is about ensuring every worker has the tools, training, and confidence to thrive. He framed it as delivering not just skills, but dignity and opportunity for millions.
It's striking how consistent that message is across all three: government, implementation, technology. Dignity and opportunity seem to be the common thread.
Absolutely. It really underlines that the technology here is a means to a much larger, more human end. It's technology in service of social change and empowerment.
Yeah.
And another thing that stands out is how they're planning for the future. It's not a one-off training dump. The source mentions the content is continually updated and adapted to local contexts.
So that's important for keeping it relevant, especially somewhere as diverse as India.
Crucial. It means the training stays useful and can evolve as needs change. It's designed to be a living system, not static.
That makes sense.
And Lalit Yagnik from EON Reality, their India lead, kind of summed up the big picture. He said this partnership is more than a technology rollout. It's a movement to transform millions of lives, foster professional pride, and set a new global benchmark for occupational training in the sanitation sector.
A new global benchmark. That's ambitious.
It is, but it speaks to the potential they see, not just for India, but as a model for elsewhere.
Setting a global benchmark definitely connects back to that broader idea of uplifting workers and narrowing safety gaps everywhere. This deep dive, I mean, it really has shown this remarkable blend of high tech and social justice in action, bringing real, tangible benefits to a workforce that's absolutely vital but often hasn't had these kinds of opportunities.
Definitely. And if we sort of zoom out for a final thought, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How could this kind of innovative model, using immersive tech for practical vocational training, be applied to help other overlooked or hazardous professions? Maybe globally.
That is a really interesting question to leave people with. Thinking about where else this kind of focused, tech-driven approach could be a force for good, for, inclusive growth.
Yeah.
That definitely gives you something to chew on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone. I hope you feel a bit more informed and maybe even a little inspired.